Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have my dancer mug today. Today's video is going to be a book haul because I am out of space on my little book haul area, and this has probably been long overdue. I know I did a book haul several months ago, but I think a lot of these books have been sitting since June, July, maybe even before that. So there's a lot to get through. I'm gonna try to be very fast and not delve into each one individually for very long, or this video would obviously be super long. So without further ado, let's just get into it. I will start with the book that I just bought at the Barnes & Noble after Christmas sale. I only got one because this was something, it had kind of been on my Christmas wish list, but not really. But it's been something I've been wanting to get because I just really liked the editions and just thought it would be really fun. And they were 50% off and I got an extra discount on top of that. So I got the deluxe editions of the Twilight Saga because I just love the covers and the edges and all that stuff. It's just really cool editions, honestly. And I never thought I would buy a special edition of this set, even though this is the set that kind of got me into reading or back into reading a very long time ago. But this is a really cool set and I love it. So I picked that up. And a lot of these will be rapid fire because they're Fairy Loot books that I've unboxed or I'm going to unbox. So The Night Blood Prince by Molly X. Yang is one of those. And then we have The Bond That Burns by Briar Bolin. And sorry, I had to get the first one because this is the second one. Because I got this one and then the first one as well, On Wings of Blood by Briar Bolin. These are both these like dragon books that I was really intrigued on. It was originally indie published and she's starting to traditionally publish them now, and it's for Bloodwing Academy. And I remember thinking it sounded really cool and I would like to get to them. It's not protection, little dragon, it's a claim. You're mine, no one touches what belongs to me. Welcome to Bloodwing Academy. Expect magic, expect competition, expect blood. Already ticking some boxes for me. She's a half-fae in a school of high-blood vampires, and she's the last of the dragon riders. But apparently there's no dragons left. And Bloodwing isn't just a school, it's a battlefield. High-bloods fight for power, and if you're weak, you're dead. Between deadly competitions, lies that could get me executed, and a dragon-shaped secret looming over my head, all I have to do is survive. Easy, right? Except I'm starting to think the real danger isn't the academy, it's what I'm becoming in this twisted game of power. Anyway, this series was just kind of intriguing to me, so I got the first one and the second. And then Christopher Rocchio came out with a deluxe edition of The Empire of Silence, and so I went ahead and got this because I really liked the first one, and there's been a lot of publishing issues with that book that I could get into at a later time. But he came out with a deluxe edition of The Empire of Silence, and it has these cool edges. Mine came a little bit beat up, but it's also got a map and a little bit of foiling. And I just thought it was super cool. And he was also signing some of them, so I got a signed edition. I really enjoyed this book and I'm looking forward to continuing this series. I also got Brimstone by Kelly Hart. Already read this and everything, but I wanted to get an edition of this. And I actually ended up picking up the new edition of Quicksilver as well, just so it kind of matched a little bit more than the original that I got. So I have Quicksilver with the Quicksilver kind of edges, and then Brimstone. This is the Target exclusive edition, which I think just has a little bit of different edges and cover, but I liked this cover a lot. So we have those two. Oh, sorry, I haven't been talking about any of those books. Quicksilver is the Fate and Alchemy series. You've heard me talk about that, and Brimstone, but it's following a thief who ends up having alchemy powers and ends up getting saved by this fae and goes into a fae realm and maybe has a lot more to do with that realm. And Empire of Silence is a sci-fi that is described as what if Anakin becoming Darth Vader was the right choice, and that's what made me read it. Then we have an Illumicrate edition of The River and the Star. This is a sequel by Gabriela Romano Lucruz. This is a sequel to The Sun and the Void, so I just got it because I think it's a completed duology. So I grabbed it while I had the chance, and hopefully I can get to these, and if I don't like them, I can pass them along, but they're really cool editions. And I don't remember what the first one's about. Can't tell you about the second one. And then I did an unboxing on this on my shorts, but Coldwire by Chloe Gong. And same thing for this, actually. I got sent an arc of Dragon Cursed by Elise Kova, which is super cool, and I'm excited to take this with me I'm going to the beach in a few days for a little bit of a vacation, and I'm going to take this with me to start it. One of my Christmas presents that I was very, very excited about and asked for was the deluxe edition of Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3 by Matthew Stover, based on the story and screenplay by George Lucas. This is a really fancy edition of this book. You can see it's got foiled edges, and it says, "This is how it feels to be Anakin Skywalker forever." It's got a really cool dust jacket with the Vader on it, and the naked hardcover is the Battle of Mustafar. And it's got beautiful art in the end pages. It's annotated. It's just a really cool edition, and I love it. And I don't think I've posted this yet, but I did an unboxing of Seven Deadly Thorns, the Fairlight edition by Amber Hamilton. I'm excited to read this. Okay, and then we have the broken binding edition of Darkness and Light by Ryan Cahill. This is his Dragon series. It's got some gold foiling. I can't remember the first one of Darkness and Light. I can't remember what the first one is called, but I didn't actually get the first one from Broken Binding, but I've been trying to get the rest of them. Found in the Broken, that's the name of the series. Really cool art throughout the book. That's probably a little bit spoilery, but this is a series I've also really been wanting to get into because it's Dragon Riders and sounds amazing, and I'm a little bit mad that I haven't started it yet, but I do plan on starting this at some point. I don't remember really anything about it other than that because it's been a while since I looked into the series, but I do have the first one on audio and I should start it soon. And then we have the UK edition of The Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. You've heard me talk about this book. I don't really have to go into it, but you're following a girl who is told by this mysterious watchmaker that she has 24 hours basically, or 48 hours maybe, to live, and she has to find this mysterious artifact that doesn't really exist called the alchemical heart, and maybe she'll survive. Was disappointed in this book, but it was okay. And then I have the Fairy Loot edition of What Fury Brings by Trisha Levenseller. I've kind of been slowly going through Trisha Levenseller's works and also getting the Fairy Loot editions of them. This is a stunning edition. I love it. Hopefully I love the book just as much. For this one it says, a world ruled by women, a queen in waiting, a gamble that could destroy everything. And then also throughout the year, Barnes & Noble was having a couple of sales towards the beginning of the year. All of these covers are kind of messed up, but that's okay. Trying to be less picky about that, but I got the Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Paranda. This was like 50% off for a hardcover, and I was looking at it, and the edition is really cool, and the naked hardcovers are super cool. And like I said, they were very cheap. So this is a Nightfall novel. This is the first one in the series, and I've been meaning to read it. They also had a 50% off the second one, The Night is Defying. And then, of course, when the third one came out in the same kind of editions, I got that, The Dark is Descending. Super cool editions. On the back it says, 500 years ago, something changed. Everyone felt it, like the world was cracking, like something had stepped into the realm that was never supposed to be here. I think everyone knew the golden age the Star Maiden had ushered in was about to be shaken like the stars that began to die out. As the main character, Astria, has to compete in a succession of trials hosted by the king in which 5 human lands compete for a cycle of safety from the vampires seeking blood, claiming souls, and savaging after dark. I don't know a lot about this series, but I'm excited to start it and hopefully I enjoy it. And then we have Impossible Creatures Book 2, The Poisoned King by Catherine Rundell. I have the first one, Impossible Creatures. Yeah. And it had really cool sprayed edges. And I like reading middle grade sometimes, so I'm hoping I can get to this when the mood strikes. But it's cute. The first one has a dragon on it, and it just looks so cool with all these like magical creatures. The Fairy Loot edition of Never Ever After by Sue Lynn Tan. The Fairy Loot edition of Thorn Season by Kira Azar. Fairy Loot edition of A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lynn. I think this was a separate purchase, so it says, gifted art forager Truan Sagas has the unique ability to paint the future. But when her father is lost at sea, not even magic can heal her family or save her 2 younger sisters from the dangerous consequences of her mother's gambling debts. Then Lang, the mysterious Dragon Lord, offers her a deal. In exchange for a fresh start for her mother and sister, True must enter a marriage contract and join him in his desolate undersea palace. Once there, True cannot help but find herself inexplicably drawn to Lang. especially as she begins to unravel the secrets behind his curse. Sounds really good. I got, to just keep up with you can't see it, it's at the top of my shelves. To keep up with the collection, I got the Empire of the Dawn. This is the Illumicrate edition of the Empire of the Vampire series by Jay Kristoff. These are really beautiful editions. So I'm trying to keep up with them, even though I haven't read them yet, I know. Then of course we have Alchemized by Senlin Yu. This is the Waterstones edition, which honestly at this point I'm thinking maybe I don't need all of the editions of this book, even though I love it and it's amazing, but maybe I just don't need this one, but super cool. And the regular edition of Alchemized by Senlin Yu, but this was the Barnes & Noble signed edition, so it is signed. And then we have the Fairy Loot edition of Between These Broken Hearts by Lexi Ryan. I've kept up with the series, I finished it, and this is the edition to go with all of my others up there. Sad book, pretty good though. Then we have Warrior Princess Assassin by Bridget Kimmerer. This is, I think, the Waterstones exclusive edition. This is one I was really excited to get to and just haven't. The sprayed edges are amazing, and it says, "The magic will find you when it's ready." It's got an interesting paper-like texture to the cover. Love is the fiercest weapon. Like, just a super cool edition. It says, "Who should you trust? Warrior King Maddox Kieran's fire magic has earned him a ruthless reputation. But now his kingdom is slowly burning, a blaze he cannot control, and his one chance to save it is a marriage alliance with the neighboring royal family of Vitrenzia and their power to manipulate the weather. As war looms on the horizon, Princess Jory's home needs this alliance, but her family is hiding a dangerous secret. Their magic is fading. When she meets her intended, he sets her heart aflame. But what will he do when he realizes she's deceiving him?" And there's also a character named Asher who is part of a hunter's guild, told to kill the king and Princess Jory. And he has to decide what he wants to do with that. So it sounds really good. I hope that I could read it soon. And then Christopher Rocchia also came out with the Sun Eater book 7, Shadows Upon Time. This is the last book in the Sun Eater series. So once I can catch up, I can finish the whole thing. I'm very curious to see how this series ends up going. It's 7 books long, so it's kind of crazy. And they're all so long, but curious to eventually get to it and see how it ends. And then we have the Illumicrate edition of Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha Shannon. That's because I have, oh, they're not here, they're down there. The other books in this series. So I don't know if I could talk to you about this one. I think it's a prequel, or it's a prequel or a sequel, but either way, I have not read the series, but this was just to keep up with it. Fairy Loot edition of Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. Well, actually, by Maisie Eddings. This is the like chicken shop date kind of book that I've talked about on the channel before. It's like if Chicken Shop Date was Sausage Talk, and somebody that the host was kind of played by, ends up becoming an influencer for guys treating women well, and she's like Pasha, and it goes viral, and so they make her bring him on the show. And then we have Catabasis, I can't remember, by R.F. Kuang, another anticipated release of mine that looks really good, and I really want to get to it, but I haven't. And essentially it's an academic student, and she sends her professor to hell on accident, and she has to go and retrieve him. Voidwalker by S.A. McLean. Already read this, already talked about it on the channel. This is about a girl who can travel between portals of worlds and is a smuggler, so it's illegal. And the Antari, who are these like vicious creatures that rule among them, and they demand human sacrifice in order to keep the peace, because that's who they eat. The regular edition of Thorn Season by Kira Azar. I got this at Barnes & Noble, and it has really cool sprayed edges, so I need to decide which one of these I'm going to keep and which one I'm not, but the Pearlescent book is really cool. And then we have The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs. I did read this as well. This is kind of pitched as like a Legally Blonde adjacent book. I liked this, but not as much as I thought I was going to. It's a princess who's jilted by somebody she thinks is going to propose to her, and so she ends up joining the King's Academy to become a soldier, to kind of prove that she does have military strategy and could be a good ruler. And then kind of on a whim, I picked up All Too Well by Corinne Michaels. This was a impulse buy kind of. It was also on sale, and it's just it sounds like it's a cute little contemporary romance. For as long as I can remember, Lachlan West has been my brother's best friend and the love of my life. Trouble is, he kissed me 4 years ago and then never spoke to me again. So I think it'll be cute. Hopefully it is. And this edition is really pretty. And then First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I read this and ended up being a 5-star read for me. I really, really liked it. It's about a mom who kind of gets roped into doing this dating show on this radio show, Heartstrings, because the guy that runs it, her daughter called him and was like, I want my mom to date and be happy. And he kind of was like, okay, we'll set you up on some dates. And it kind of goes from there where they get to know each other. And then part of that sale haul I got was The Deathless Ones by Emma Hamm. I don't remember everything about this. It looks really cool though. It says, murdered on her wedding day, a fallen princess makes a deal with her life with the god of death, but the feelings he stirs in her are more than she bargained for. And I feel like Emma Hamm has kind of been expounding upon a lot of different genres and series, so I'm curious to see how she takes this one, and this is The Grave Singer Volume 1. And then we have Heir of Storms, the Prelude edition by Laura Hamilton Murray. Already unboxed this, love this book. I have The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole, book 1 in the Gods and Monsters series. This is the special deluxe edition that just came out. I decided to get rid of my indie edition for this one because it just looks so cool. And I did read this already. And then one of my favorite books of the year, The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Brigitte Knightley. This is the regular edition, but it is signed. And you're following a healer and an assassin, and he has an incurable disease, and he kind of blackmails her into helping him, and they strike a deal, and it's really cute, and it's based on Hermione fanfiction. And then we have Violet Thistleweight is Not a Villain Anymore by Emily Krimpholtz. I did read this and liked it. It was a cute, cozy book. A lot to do with plant magic and rock monsters and cute themes. Also Mate by Allie Hazelwood. This is the second book in the Bride series. This was also very good. Laughed a lot. I've already talked about it on my channel, but a half werewolf, half human is in a bit of trouble because she's kind of seen to be this peacemaker, but it ends up putting a target on her back, and the vampires and a lot of people are after her, and so she goes to live with her mate that they ended up finding out about but have not accepted, with Cohen and his pack. And then I have the Fairy Lit edition of The Ashfire King by Chelsea Abdullah. I ended up really liking The Stardust Thief, and this is the second book, so I'm hoping to get to this soon. I was planning on doing it, a lot faster than I did, but sometimes that happens when you have to wait for a book to come out, but hopefully it's worth the wait. And I have the Fairy Lit edition of A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen. The first one is A Fate Inked in Blood. Couldn't remember what it was, but it's like a Viking shield maiden type of a story, fantasy. So I'm very curious to get to this when I can, but this is a pretty cool edition. And then of course, Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Maher. I've already read this as well. I really have enjoyed this series and looking forward to continuing, since apparently it's not a trilogy like I mentioned previously, but had to get this one. I also actually ended up picking up the Acrylips. I struggle to say this shop name so much, and I'm so sorry, but the edition of A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's a stunning edition, and the edges, you can't tell. Oh my gosh. They're 3D printed. So they have, I could show you this way. They have texture. It is wild, let me tell you. It's like, when you look at it, not in a camera, in real time, you can see the details. It is insane. It's really cool. It's on the bottom, it's on the top, it's everywhere. When you flip the pages, it can be a little bit weird, but I think this is honestly not really a reading copy, but it is so cool. The hardcover is just like the regular hardcover, but that's okay because the dust jacket is foiled and amazing, and it's just beautiful, and I already pre-ordered the Court of Mist and Fury one. Then to keep up with the series, I got 3 Shattered Souls by Mia Corlin. This is the last book in this series. Need to get to this. I kind of soft DNF'd the first one because I just started it and then for 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the audiobook and then put it down because it wasn't my time to read it, and then I never picked it back up. Hopefully I can get to it. 5 Broken Blades is the first one in the series, and hopefully it is also worth the wait. I also got the UK edition of How to Lose a Lord in 10 Days by Sophia Irwin because I have the Illumicrate editions of the rest of her books, and they just didn't do this one, which really annoyed me, but they did this special first printing of it, so I got that one. super annoying, but I love this author's works and I've loved everything I've read from her. So he wants a wife, she wants to be jilted, this is war. That's basically what the story is. It's very cringy and secondhand embarrassment at first, but then it gets really funny and good. I have the Illumicrate edition of Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reed because I have the Illumicrate edition of A Study in Drowning, and the Illumicrate editions are beautiful. I also really like the deluxe editions they did in just normal bookstores with the book edges, but the hardcovers on these are also super cool. I really need to finish this. I think this is the last book in the duology, so I really need to get to this. This just shows me, granted, I read a lot of these that I've hauled so far, but it just shows me that I continually have books that I'm like, oh, I want to read that so soon, and then I don't. Everyone has that problem, right? And then I have The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. I've also read this. Super cute. Loved all the plants and the personalities. Very precious plant story, magical plant story. Loved that that was the focus. We have another book that I loved this year, which was Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. This was also a Hermione fan fiction turned published work. And in this one, you're following a girl who is she's a princess and part of the royal family, and then there was a war and her family is dead and they are taken into captivity and slavery and sold off to the highest bidder. And she's sold off to her academic rival when they were in school together before the war. And his family is known to be brutal and ambitious and ruthless, and it's so good. It's the first one in the trilogy, so there's a lot more to unfold, but really good. And then I got the Fairylead edition of The Undercutting of Rosie and Adam by Megan Bannon. This is book 3 in the Undertaking of Heart and Mercy series, which I have the first 2 up there. I think it's just it's a fantasy, contemporary fantasy, modern, I don't know. But it sounds really kind of funny, maybe a cozy fantasy. But I think this one has dragons, which is exciting. I think I'll really like these books once I start them, but I have to do that. But I have the whole trilogy just in case. And then I got the Fairylead edition of the rest of the books in the series for Howl's Moving Castle. I got Castle in the Air and House of Many Ways by Diana Wynne Jones. I've never read these, but I did read Howl's Moving Castle. Was that this year or last year? I think it was last year. And I liked it, so I would like to read these as well. And got the editions to match because, yeah, Howl's Moving Castle's right here. They're beautiful editions and Kiki's delivery service. So I needed to get these to match. Are you kidding? They're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. And I loved the movie Howl's Moving Castle once I finally watched it. And curious to see what other adventures she comes up with, because I don't think they follow the same characters. So it'll be cool. I got the Fairylead edition of A Crown So Silver by Lara Celine. A Feather So Black is over here. Beautiful editions. They just have stunning pages and everything. The cover artwork, everything about them is stunning. I'm planning on reading A Feather So Black in January, but it's a Swan Princess. It's a Swan Princess retelling. I'm fairly sure of, and that's why I was interested in it in the first place. So hopefully it is, and hopefully I'd love it. I've heard pretty good things about it. Excited to continue. And also I think the 3rd book is coming out soon, which is crazy because I feel like the first one hasn't been out that long. And then last but not least, I got the Broken Binding edition of Murtagh when that came out originally. I've already read it. I really liked it. And then Broken Binding said, you know what, let's actually do the whole series. And so I got the whole series. So I got Aragon by Christopher Paolini, and they all have these beautiful sprayed edges and this beautiful artwork. Look at that hardcover. And they have alternate dust jackets. It's a really cool edition. And I remember really liking this series. I've talked about it in a complainy type of way because the first one irked me a little bit with how much eating and training goes on, and I don't like the lulls between stuff, but I loved the dragons and I loved the action. So we have Aragon, Eldest. Oh, these are so cool. Books are just so cool. The editions are so cool. Glitter. Ugh. Brissinger. Oh, the Razak is terrifying. I guess I could show you that too. Look at it. Ugh. And Inheritance, this jonky boy. It's so cool. And it's got Shuriken. Well, maybe it's not Shuriken, I don't know. I just love it. But they have Shuriken in here as like the... Look how big he is! I know he's giant, but I kind of pictured him a little bit differently. Still really cool. And this is definitely a nostalgic series for me. But chunky books, excited to have them completed with my Murtagh. And excited to see if he writes other books like that, especially if they follow Thorn and Murtagh. Well, those are the last books in the book haul, and I'm currently surrounded by piles of books that I have to somehow make fit on my shelves that are full. So maybe a book unhaul is coming soon, but nonetheless, this was very needed. Let me know if any of these books caught your eye and you wanted to read them, or you have read them and really liked them. I would love to know your thoughts. But that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.